record. There you go. I didn't set it up or anything, but
yeah, this Zoom software is really awesome. It has everything kind of built in.
there's the microphone shape thing that's going up and down that seems to be working superbly, exactly as I would expect it to do.
Of course.
So how did you find this?
Well, you guys have stumbled upon the twin flame phenomenon. Upon the twin flame phenomenon, I found deeply enticing. Despite the size of my glass, which I find a little less.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm going to have to bring something more to the party, if I may be so bold.
Yes.
Showing off there, if I may.
Oh, well, yeah, this is coffee.
Look at his cup.
This is the
coffee, is it? I've never been much of a man for props, but I do love a big cup, you know.
Yeah, we're not done until 9 o'clock tonight, so I have to start off strong.
Right. We got it.
On the other hand, have been up for 24 hours, so but that's okay because I'm trying to feed starving people here.
Okay.
I'm building a free energy machine.
Wonderful.
It's a remarkably enticing proposition which allows people to not pay their electricity bill, grow food, and drink clean water, which is absolutely delightful.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
However, you've got to convince people with money. That's easy for people with no money because they all go, well, that's wonderful. I don't have to pay my bill. Brilliant.
Right.
However, people with money have to see a tangible benefit to this. And that is a little more difficult to organize, you see.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Absolutely.
If I become persuasive to another demographic, i.e. the wife, at the moment I only have a very discrete number of offerings to bring forth. And, you know, we're always trying to improve as human beings.
Yeah, that's
true.
And I would very much like to bring more to the table. It's
right.
nice to be of offer. I mean, human beings, by their very nature, like to be helpful. They like to be of use.
Absolutely.
I was thinking about becoming a politician, but that wouldn't really fulfill the desired aspect. So I thought I'd just be myself and sort of work in my backyard and come up with something useful. And then perhaps... That's a lovely class, by the way. I like the color, too. It's fantastic.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's big.
Yeah.
It's not too heavy, as I haven't been working out lately. It looks rather difficult to handle.
About a half a pot of coffee.
Yeah, it's about.
Yeah. It's funny. Tell us about your connection.
Well, without dropping it all in your lap all at once, we'll see if we can meter it out slowly over the course of half an hour or so to improve the amusement. But essentially, it's a perfectly stereotypical human being male, suffering the usual woes of being in love with a very beautiful young female. I'm 34 and she's 14, and that presents me with a few difficulties in terms of a long-term.
Wow.
I mean, not necessarily difficulties for me, but I don't quite know how to frame the difficulties involved with it because we're both deeply in love. But in our interaction with the world day to day, that's see, I can be cool. I can play poker. There's a wonderful, lovely casino locally, and it's just magnificent. And I can hold a poker face as well as the best of them. But when you're in love with someone, it's a different type of poker face required, you know.
It's called a mask.
And that is really what I'm having difficulty with.
Okay. Where does she live in?
She lives next door.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And her mother has not been such of a problem. I mean, her mother has none of the difficulties I have. I mean, we've you know, without diddling around the pole too much, we've slept together. The mother has no difficulties holding a straight face. But when we go out in public or spend time with friends, she has difficulty with the fact that I'm more than twice her age.
Mm-hmm.
and that I've slept with her mum. And it's really a fucking catastrophe, to be honest, because none of us can just not smile.
Right.
Yeah.
So
hilarious.
You've slept with the mother, with her mom?
The brother, the mother.
Yeah.
Well, I had LSD with the brother.
Okay.
You know, I mean, but you know what you're doing. You know, you go and you pee next to another guy, and you have a little gander, and it's all good fun. It's like, but sometimes it comes up, and I don't know the best way to approach these difficulties.
Have you had sex or have you had any type of intimacy with the one you're connected to?
Well, we've slept next to each other a
Okay.
vast number of times, but we've not actually had sex.
Okay.
We're basically a bit of a prop kind of relationship. I mean, we love each other very much. Don't get me wrong. We're deeply into each other. And she's offered herself to me sexually, but we haven't actually had sex.
Okay.
But I don't think people can't see that when we're out. I mean, that's what I want you to understand. People don't know that. When we go out partying and that kind of thing, you know, they don't perceive that. It's really only the other. I mean, people's blinkers are all on for information and secret little, you know, I mean, they're all interested in little sexy little secrets and that kind of thing that are going on. And when you're with someone for several years, they just don't assume that you haven't had sex. So it's always something with the mother or something with the other family member that comes up. And I don't want to lie. I don't want to become one of those people who just walks around with holding, you know, a myriad of straight faces or even any kind of curves or twists or blemishes or any of that kind of thing. I'm really not interested in any of that. But I just don't know how to deal with it with a heart-to-heart, honest approach. It's not just entrancing. It's difficult if I open my heart to it. It's a difficulty that presents a heartfelt, minor issue, which I'd like to not have. And I just don't know how to approach that. I mean, it's easy to laugh about these things, but I suppose there it is. I don't know how to laugh and be serious at the same time. Because as honest as I can be, you know, we have had sex, and I just don't know how to approach that. There's got to be like a pop culture reference I can just throw into the conversation to confuse people and then walk off in the other direction to avoid the problem. Or there's got to be some kind of simple solution to the problem that people will recognize my sincerity. And I just don't know how to do that, because it's an otherwise wonderful, flawless relationship. And I mean, I should add, you know, you guys, before I don't want to impose on you for $69.99, because I'm sure if I wasn't paying you anything, which is I think actually at the stage, I think we're not paying you anything at the moment, aren't we? This is a free kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Well, that, I mean, forgive me for my bluntness, but that might be even better for our sincerity. I mean, if I know, I mean, I tend to get all political when people pay me money. Forgive me for the honesty, but that's really one of my big problems. I get political when people pay me. So, for the time being, it's just really an open-hearted issue. And if I'm honest, I just finished another chat session. I polished off half a bottle of wine in between to help me with my gratuitous honesty. But I just don't know where to go from here. Maybe I can set up some kind of scenario that allows me to prove my, like, maybe there's a thought if I go to a regular party with her friends, maybe we can just sort of lay it on the table. I can just win, like deal done. And then they know not to broach the issue again. is a temptation. There's a number of approaches, but it really comes down to personal experience. I'm not scared to make a mistake either. I know it's not. It's a big matzo ball I'm giving you to deal with here. I'm just rolling this whole thing downhill, which is not entirely helpful. I realize, and I'm sorry for that.
Actually, you're pretty well open. Which it makes me want to ask you like 5 million questions, but maybe there's only one that really we should point to first. What is your relationship like with your mother?
You seem to have hit upon the chili, as it were. It is.
Can you do that?
I have a complex relationship with my mother. However, if I may, I think what we're dealing with here is, and you know what I mean by complex, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay. Because it's not a particularly unusual phenomenon to have a complex relationship with your mother. I think what I'm hitting upon is, it's a book. Somewhere in the world, there's a book with a piece of wisdom that says there's a social understanding of the situation I'm going through that other people have gone through before, which has a good idea of how humans respond to this problem and how I can convey that to them subtly without creating too many humps and bumps and mumps. And then simply moving on.
Were you raised by your mother?
Well, the divorce was till early adolescence. So in a sense, yes. But I was, of course, taught to put on clothes by, you buckle that and you tie that and you put that bit over there by father.
Okay.
So in essence, it was a fairly typical upbringing, but of course there was a woman involved.
Explain that.
Well, women like men. Men have penises. Boys have penises.
So there were sexual relations with your mother, right?
Circuitous relationships.
Okay.
There was a number of vowels involved. But not deeply involved, I might add. Just loosely involved.
Okay.
Now I've talked to the girlfriend about this, so I'm actually quite comfortable discussing it, and
Okay.
we are quite comfortable discussing it because she had a similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
Her mother discussed it with her, so naturally. But the difficulty lies within us discussing it to other people. That is really where our difficulty lies. Really communicating that. And I don't mind looking silly. I'm perfectly happy to look silly in the process. No problem. No problem. But I don't want to leave people with emotional sort of questions.
Patrick, I have a question.
Yes, Lee.
Do you know how many times you judge yourself in 10 minutes? Subtly. You judge yourself and I'm not sure why you're doing that.
Well, to you, Lee, I will say, and I'm not sure who else I'd say this to, but I spent my life judging how I appear to other people. I have myself that I like to be very specifically. I know exactly who I am and who I like to be. And then I like to portray that very carefully to other people so I can control how they respond to me. Because if I can control how people respond to me, I can control the people, my interaction with them.
But doesn't that limit the capacity of love that you're allowing yourself to have?
Well, love has a joyous nature to it and a playful nature. And I've not had any difficulty with that because we have a lot of banter with the girl and the boy. You know, we have a lot of playful banter. And I find I instill my love into that. I mean, we don't love when we argue. We don't love when we cook. We just love when we play. So I don't really feel like I'm missing out on all that much. But I agree, I could be missing out on something. It feels like a controlling mechanism that I'm really using to govern my life.
You know, when you said I have a complex relationship with my mother, is it the relationship you want?
Well, that's difficult to say. If I had the relationship I wanted, I think I would ideally not change anything, but make her less sort of, stupid, which I realize is not possible. But the relationship is bad. It's damaged me. I know, I understand, I realize that, but I am the person that I am today, and I've spent my entire life building that. So I wouldn't change that for anything, even despite, any damage that's been done.
What about that form of abandonment you keep doing?
Well,
did you know you abandoned yourself 4 different times just now? Here's how it's done.
That's easy.
Listen to this.
Yeah.
The question was, is the relationship you have with the mother the kind that you want? I wouldn't change anything, but the moment you said but, you didn't even say, no, it's not the relationship I want. You found a way to make it sound like it was one way.
Yeah.
But then I watched you just immediately abandon yourself and everything you felt. Does your mother know you do that?
I hosted an intervention with the rest of the family to discuss sexual indiscretions. So I think she is aware, and the rest of the family are actually aware.
What are they aware of? Because you wear a pretty heavy mat.
Mothers do beds, they do sheets, and they clean and they change, and you're not supposed to be in the bed when they change the sheet. There's a few minor discrepancies I've had problems with over the years.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, I feel like I've always been empowered by my own reactions to stimuli. And I feel like they've always been my choice. So in a way, I've always been myself. And anything that would change that would change a lifetime's worth of conscious decision and thought and concentration as to who I am. So that's what I mean by I wouldn't necessarily change anything. But however, one thing I would like you to know, Lee, is I would raise children very differently. I would give them all the space they could ever want and need, and then give them my imposition and myself in the times that they were open to it, rather than when they were, screaming. And that would be the one significant change I would make.
So, do you trust your mother?
No, not in the least.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then. If you don't trust the woman you're connected from, how are you going to trust the woman you're connected to?
Well, they're different people, in a word.
Again,
they have different values. They disagree with each other. They try to avoid arguing with each other because they're both kind of nice people.
Yeah, but Patrick, on the inside of your heart,
yeah,
the woman you're connected from, your mother, you can't trust. At some point, you were able to breathe, eat.
I trust your perception of that.
No, I'm just trying to tell you.
I trust my ability to give a slippery answer after 34 years practice.
You could basically just tell us the truth because we can help the truth. We can't help a lie. On the inside, you would have to abandon that thought of being able to trust a woman you're connected to. And on the inside, that's compromised your love already. Because it wasn't the way you wanted it to be. And
I
it's
have
okay.
a respect and a love for myself.
Here's the beautiful part of this.
I give that to people by default. I give people the benefit of the doubt that they are capable of the same human love and respect and the same human qualities as I am. And I'll only take that notion of that away from them.
The beautiful part of this, Patrick, is you didn't do anything wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. Not only are you not doing anything wrong, you're so in fear of judgment that you create your own self-judgment as a way to ignore the fact that your trust is broken. And it's okay.
My trust in one person has been broken. But can I tell you, Lee, what's held me together as a person has been my trust in myself, that I have judged people analytically, and that I don't question my judgment in people. I've laid down the way I treat people through my own conscious desires, needs, and by my own values. And so in other words, I'm saying I think I can trust people who I can trust, and those who I've decided I can't trust, I don't trust. But I have the extra capacity from that strength left over to reopen those doors if they become available. But at the moment, I do not have that trust, largely because it's reinforced every day, the reasons for that trust not to exist.
How old were you when your father left? When they got divorced?
I believe I was about 8. And I was very excited about that. It wasn't a traumatic experience at all. But I think I was 8, which was quite young, but old enough to be excited about a new life and new possibilities. In fact, I dreamt we would start a deli together and I'd be able to serve people and sell them chocolates and flowers. And I thought we'd just have this new life living inside a small deli. It didn't turn out to be that way, but I was old enough to be excited about the potential of living a new life.
8-year-old boy walks into the room right now, sits next to you, looks up at you and says, I can't trust my mother and my daddy just left. How am I ever going to learn love? What do you say to the 8-year-old?
I'd say there's a lot of people in this world. You know what love is, and they do too. But you need to understand that like your parents, there's a lot that don't. So you need to be a little bit reserved for the time being, because if you go in and give your trust and love to another person and you have more trust and love than they do, you're probably going to get hurt.
So then the 8-year-old looks up at you after hearing you say this and says, so half of my heart, half of who I'm ever going to be, nobody's going to be able to trust, and the other half knows how to walk away from that half? How am I ever going to be right?
You've got 80 years of life on this world, my friend. Some people love 3 people in that 80 years. Some people love 5.
I just have one question.
And some people are simply in love with everyone they come across and everyone they see, but don't take chances with them.
You have a lot of buts. And let me ask you one thing, just one question. Why at this point have you looked at that 8-year-old and said, I love you and we're going to be okay?
I don't think I would do that. Because what if I flinched? What if I just made this little mistake? Like the one person that they decided to speak to throughout their entire life. And
do you remember when I
said, well, I love you. And then my heart flinched from him for whatever disconnected reason. That could completely cripple them for life. And it's just not worth it. I would share my heartfelt wisdom with them, but not extend my heart to them, because I don't spend my life with them. If I spent my life with someone, then we could juggle this about for 5 or 10 years, and that's fine. But putting everything on one moment, we're biological beings. We're not capable of that.
That's all we've ever had, one moment. There
are some people who see it that way, and I think that is the most beautiful thing ever. But I would only let my children be in their presence after they've been conditioned to my way of thinking.
Mm. So your children will be without the only thing they'll ever have? You've never been able to move time. You've never been able to travel 15 minutes in the future or in the past. So you're going to deny them the only thing they'll ever have. Is that what you're saying?
Love?
The present moment. The only place love exists.
Oh, look, I'm not going to show them the present moment. I would explain my experience of the present moment. And whilst they consider that, they will be in their own. I think people are, by their very nature, sarcastic and questioning of authority and anyone who gives advice. If I see someone who I acknowledge to be, and I remember this from childhood, who I acknowledge to be 50, 60 years in front of me and more wise, I would still not take what they say on face value. Absolutely not. I would sit there and I would nod. I go, yes, thank you, sir. You look very good to me, but I'm going to go home and think about this.
I'm just wondering who you would be if you would stop abandoning that 8-year-old boy.
I could confront that 8-year-old boy more directly, but I won't do so because that would put me at risk, because I've lived my life in such a way, whereas if I made a mistake with that 8-year-old boy, I would remember that forever, and that would damage my life, and that 8-year-old boy is not worth damaging my life for. I can do better by looking after my life and my well-being, and if I not hurt myself, then my sense of consciousness and my sense of well-being and karma will do its part to look after that young boy in return. I can do better by looking after myself.
I wonder what an 8-year-old boy knows about confrontation.
I would like to think, Lee, not an awful lot.
Yeah,
however, they're all different.
I wouldn't want to confront him.
They're all different, mate. They are all so different. Everyone has a different set of families, different set of dynamics. They have a different fish and chip shop cook. You know, everything makes a difference. Everything makes a difference. What determines their ability to be an effective human being is how long they want to spend sifting through the data and determining who they want to be.
I guess for me, I found that running into my pain was going to give me a love that I was pretty much trying to convince myself my whole life I was never going to get. And it didn't happen until I did that. And I think that's going to be the same for anybody who's going to have just surround themselves by a story and continuing the story. Sometimes it's just...
Yeah. You've long impressed me, Lee. You've long impressed me as a guy who knows who you are and who you want to be.
Oh.
And that means a lot to me. I mean, that's really why we're here. That's why I haven't contacted any of the other infamous people running.
Do you know what my secret is?
You've got dogs and kids and a lovely wife. And that to me is pretty ambitious. But you've certainly got something you tie your anchor to, and I'd love to know what that is.
My pain. Everything I've been through that's caused me great pain, I was so busy trying to bury it. I didn't realize what I was burying inside of that pain. So I had to find out, is it possible to put love inside of pain?
And is it?
Have you seen the family it's created? Have you seen who's sitting next to me day in and day out? She hasn't killed me yet. I'm not buried somewhere.
Buried? He doesn't flinch, does he? His love doesn't flinch. I find that hard to believe such a thing lives within pain.
You'd be surprised what's inside of pain.
I wouldn't advocate such a result. I mean, you don't see that as a shield in any way. I mean, you don't advocate pain as a useful building block for life.
No, actually, I use the nature of it, because if you think about it, we all came through a threshold of pain to get here. It's birth energy. It's creative energy. Pain is what happens after 9 months or 8 months of trying to get into this world. Pain is the result. Great pain. And then at some point, somebody gives you the ability by either smacking you or hitting you while you're in pain so you can breathe your first ounce of air. Why are we all running from what brought us here? Why are we making a story around it?
You don't appear to be running from anything, my friend. You do not. You seem like a very comfortable man. You don't look 8 foot tall to me, Lee. You're not immune to the woes of this world.
No,
You have a wife, you have a dog, you have some children. You seem like a perfectly normal guy who's not hiding from anything. He's not hiding behind anything.
Yeah. He doesn't need to. For what?
The last thing I didn't want to be normal. I found a way to not do that. Because I didn't know anybody who was normal. You know anybody who's normal? Send them our way. I'd like to meet them.
I didn't want to impose that idea on anyone. There is no one who's normal, so I'm not going to be normal. I'm going to be crazy in my own beautifully specific way.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a defense mechanism.
You're on a very beautiful, amazing journey. Just wondering if you're paying attention.
I do like to pay attention, but I suspect not.
There it is.
There was.
It really matters.
But.
Yeah.
Your butt.
No, look, I pay attention to not roll off the tracks.
Your butts get
and
you.
And then I let those intuitive skills not let me roll off the tracks, but paying attention to the love and the essence and the joy and the beauty of life. No, I'm not.
Can you pay attention to how many times you say but after you hold on to something you feel so strongly about? That's what's paying attention could give you. The but actually abandons you. And we're wondering who you keep doing that for.
I would like to say it's for myself, because in my mind, everything is for myself. But in truth, that doesn't come up very often. I think only in the very back of my head that no one can ever see, like right back here. That's
what word did you think we heard you say?
Everything else is for other people.
With everything you just said, what word do you think we heard you say?
Love.
But. You inserted a but in there and you're not even seeing it. Why are you doing that? Has anybody ever really listened to you?
I'm just going to breathe in before I breathe out and say, it was actually love that I said. I like to stick the word but in because it tends to ease social tensions, and there's a lot of them floating around, particularly when you discuss what's real in life.
Who told you that?
Who told me what's real? Love in life is real. No one. I don't believe. That's genius. No one has ever told me that. Love in life is real. I myself believe that love is an energy signature that can be manipulated, programmed, and dialed into an oscilloscope and put into someone's body. Love is a geometric pattern and energy that combines the universe and all her living beings. So you're quite right. What is it? I have a great deal of reverence for it. And I'm very interested to know what other people think it is.
I don't know, Patrick. I can tell you one thing. We've found that when we were trying to control anything, we suffered. Especially when it came to love. Did this help you today?
I feel happy that you see things in my way without the heartfelt need to argue. Like there's nothing that's really clawing at you that wants to get out, you know? That to me is satisfying.
Patrick, Are you okay in there? The truth. Are you
I
okay?
think I could live like this for another 1,000 years, but without an unbridled love with another human being, I really do not wish to live another 10 minutes. But I will, because I secretly have a love of masochism and suffering. Because it's kind of like learning the hard way. But don't get me wrong, Lee.
Did you answer the question?
I crave for an unbridled love.
Did you answer the question?
I tried to.
Yes, I know.
Very hard, I might add.
The question was, are you okay in there?
Drugs would help. I won't lie. Actually, I am lying. I think they might. I don't really know because I don't take drugs. But from what I hear, they might. But I'm a bit skeptical, to be honest. But I think I am okay. I am myself, as I've described myself to you. The great Lee and Sherry. Don't feel any compunction to argue, which I find incredible. Frankly, you don't want to correct me on a million things, which is great. I mean, you go over each other with a fine tooth comb, and I find that highly gratifying on a weekly basis. I mean, you guys must have the most perfect relationship in the world. If you're not to pull things out of me here, left and right, that is nice. I like that very much.
Patrick, do I go off of this or do I go off of everything you said? Because this is what you did when I asked if you're okay. Your head did move side to side.
Just so you know, I'm going to put in a conscious effort for that not to occur.
Patrick,
that's I'm going to say yes.
Stop abandoning you. You don't have to abandon you. You're safe here. We're not going to judge you. We're just going to try to help you.
I'm disappointed by this, Lee. I was hoping for a butt paddle, like a really big one.
I can tell you, when
very
you
much
finally
appreciate your care and concern. I can provide this for myself. What I really need is criticism, critique, and the odd spout of random butt plug love.
It sounds.
And I thought I'd come to the right place.
Yeah, it sounds like as long as you don't let anybody inside, you can be right about nobody loving the real you. What if you're wrong?
What if I do let someone inside and they do?
Yes.
I'll probably tease them voraciously until they leave. But then I will go, run after them, very sorry. I went a little bit too far. And now I know how far is too far. And we can play ball to the very limits without going too far beyond.
Unfortunately, we have another one we have to get to. But it sounds as though if you want to do some work, we can help you. But I would say more than anything, we'd be able to free you because it sounds like you have to be a certain kind of way in order for you
I have a little more heart I can put into it. I held it back just in case you might say this.
Mm-hmm.
So the next session could well be a little deeper if you're willing to go that far.
Yeah, for sure.
How deep do you think we can go? Because we could go pretty damn deep.
I want to save my frequent flyer miles. I really do.
Understood.
But a Zoom cloud? Teach me, I'm all yours. And frankly, for a very reasonable price. So,
have you looked into root camp? Have you looked at it at all?
I've heard rumors of this. I've seen you've put up videos of patrons who've actually gone and attended and enjoyed it and got something out of it. And one thing I did see in common is they all enjoyed it. And that is, of course, the first important basis for anything you're going to learn from. You've got to enjoy it.
You have this mechanism that I have. I have it, so I recognize it in you.
Yeah.
And I happen to love it because it's who I am and it's who you are, and I love that, and I connect with you on that level. But I tend to wear a mask called humor. I love it. I'm clearly the funny one out of the two of us. I do that. I am.
That microphone.
I do that. You do it too, and I recognize that in you. And it's root camp will make you cry.
You have a terrible sense of humor, don't you, Sherry?
Oh, it's horrible.
It is, isn't it?
It's just the worst.
And you can cook, can't you?
Oh,
You've got it all, baby. You've got it all.
I can cook.
We have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
Now,
root
mine has
camp.
something left to be desired, and I hope to add to it, because not only is it absolutely terrible, horrendous, brutal, and cringeworthy, but I store it all on SD card, and I can download it and save it, and I study it. And there's some jokes that I can just reuse and recycle and replay over and over, and it will be... It gets even worse with age. I study how to get worse with age, because cringing, I've embroidered cringing into my sense of humor. And I've got to say, my friends and my loved ones, they really enjoy it. They've come to love the cringe. Deeply endearing. Well, thank you, darlings, so much for your time.
You're very welcome, and we are here.
I didn't want to drop any gauntlets down, because obviously this session is free. We can leave that for next time.
We would love to work with you. I know we can help you. Root camp.
Can I provide you with any more information? If I can tell you anything about me that would help me, feel free to think about it at night, or I will, email you over. Anything that might.
When you go back and watch this recording, I want you to pay attention to your energy to see if it's allowing anyone to be connected to you.
I feel more open. I'm glad you asked, because that would save me. I mean, I will watch it anyway, but now that you ask, I do feel more open, which is
because we're asking you not to abandon yourself, and it's okay that you do or don't. But I think you're so used to people not paying attention to that it's just been okay for you to abandon yourself.
Wow.
We don't want that.
I'm very strict with myself, and that could well be a sign of guilt. Because I'm not a military dictator, but I've done it my whole life for myself and for my own general benefit, and it obviously works for me. The only problem I have is with communicating with people who haven't developed the art, and I feel it opens doors for me, big ones.
Well,
I don't feel bad about pursuing it.
The feeling of guilt will help close those doors before they open up all the way. So you probably run into that a lot, where a door could be open, but your own guilt would be a way of shutting it. Maybe you should stop doing that.
I would be prepared to test things out. I don't quite have an intuitive understanding of what that means, but I would love to put the wisdom to the test and see what happens. That would be a fascinating life experience. I suppose that's what counseling is all about, really.
Who have you allowed to love the real you, Patrick?
I encourage all to, Lee. I encourage all to, and I adore it.
Did you answer the question?
Even men, if that's what you're asking.
No, I said, who have you allowed to love the real you?
It really is what's shown on the window, Lee. I mean, obviously, I've got a set of rules inside the door that people sign before they, disclaimer and all that. Because I'm quite strict with discipline. I have what I like to call a military mindset, but but I share the result of that openly. So technically, it's fair game.
Did you answer the question?
I believe I'm not hiding anything from anyone. That was the question.
No. Who have you allowed to love the real you?
Oh, everybody. I prefer not to draw up any. I mean, I particularly like it when bad people love me. Just between you and me, because I mean, it shows my openness and receptiveness to love. And if bad people love me, then it's kind of like a finger in them, It's like, haha, you love someone, you love me, haha, you're not too far gone. So I kind of get a morbid curiosity, a morbid amusement kind of thing from that. But yeah, everyone really. And I don't try to target, love packages to any particular people. It's just this. It's kind of like the same price list for everyone. And I find it worthwhile. It's really a good deal. I just give everyone my best price. And, that's me. That's my heart. I'm going to speak as I am. And I'm going to speak as I do to you, to everyone else, in front of you, to prove my sincerity. And there won't be any crossed boundaries. There won't be any crossed borders. And quite frankly, you won't be able to trip me up. I was always very good at debating school. So I don't prevent anyone from loving me. I encourage it. And if someone can't love me, I ask myself, why? And really, that's the avenue for improvement.
Do you love you?
I'm fucking madly in love with myself. I'm a fucking prick. I love myself so much.
Awesome. Well, it was wonderful to meet you today. Absolutely.
If you're
I
wanting
knew it would be I'd love to meet you too, Lee. And you, Sherry. That's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. If you're wanting to do a program or work with us in any way, just email us and we'll get you on the schedule.
Absolutely.
You do you don't mind the 9 o'clock thing? I
don't mind that at all.
No, you don't. Okay.
I think we just had somebody who was in this slot, and it's like snowing really hard, which makes no sense in the middle of spring.
They do. Well, I do a political, energetic, environmental thing about this time every week. So I put my whole heart on the line. I feel empty. I feel drained. And I just feel like, the world's been plugged into my asshole energy socket all week. And it's like, it's just time to let go. So it's a great time to talk about relationships, just so free and open. And it's other than a bit of gratuitous bad language at times, it really is a good time for me to be forthcoming.
If that's something you would like to do, we could really do some work with you, especially in that space.
It is one I cherish, and I would happily give it to you, Lee. I would. You've got a great deal of experience, and I treasure your wisdom.
And what's the difference between wisdom and intelligence?
Well, I think wisdom is something that lasts a lifetime, and intelligence is fairly subjective. So I don't imagine that definition will change in a week, but how it's interpreted may.
Well, if we talk again, I'd like to hear if you come up with a different way of looking at it.
Well, yeah, no, I feel pretty firm on that one. But I am open and dynamic and ready for change. So
Okay.
if you wish to be a divine imposition, I have faith. I've been following you guys for almost 5 years. I didn't feel embarrassed at all. I thought this might come up, but I've been watching you guys' videos for free on YouTube for 5 years, and I'm so glad to throw you a few dollars. It's great.
Absolutely. We're right here.
Yeah.
Would love to work with you, Patrick. I'm almost seeing that it wouldn't take us very long to fall in love with you. It would not take us very long at all.
You'll probably sense my love for you, Lee, if you'll forgive the half a bottle of wine. No time at all, my friend. No time at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys drink the same. Lee drinks red wine too. I do not. I drink.
You're more.
I'm a sweet wine type of girl. I like it blush.
I like my Merlot.
Yeah, he's a red wine drinker.
Cup of tea for Sherry. Whole hustle. All in that for the morning. But for 9 o'clock at night, yeah, I think I'll join.
Do you want to get on the schedule for next week?
Sign me up, guys. I'd like for you to pull the whip out, show me what I'm doing wrong, and see what happens. That sounds good.
Okay. What are we doing? We doing root camp, or you just want to do some sessions?
Do you want us to transform your life?
I must admit, I haven't read the book. I thought about it, but I don't have an automatic translation tool or anything like that. I've been very happy with the videos, to be honest. But yeah, now that I've got your attention personally, yeah, let's do something for real.
Okay. Awesome.
We have coaching packages and we have root camp, so it's completely up to you how you want to do this.
Well, I thought I had to go attend I thought the root camp was an in-person thing, to be honest.
No, it's just like this, you and us.
Yep. Once a week.
Okay. Well, I'll check the because I run a non-for-profit, so I'll check the taxation offers for international. I've not done this before. I've not tried this before, but if we could come up with like a fairly inexpensive option to begin with, I think that would probably be the go.
Okay. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna.
I imagine there'd be no degradation of service policy.
Yep. Go ahead and get him scheduled. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you. I'll send you pricing sheet, and
you do the same time next week.
And you can figure out what it is. You can figure out what it is you want and what direction you want to go in. So I'll send you the root camp pricing sheet, and I'll send you just the regular coaching package pricing, and then you can figure out if you just want to do coaching with us or if you really want to go through root camp, and it's pretty intense.
Great. Maybe we can talk about it during next week's session.
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic.
Well, if we can determine it before then, it'll change the line of questions because we need to know you. So,
any questions or curiosities you've got? Yeah, absolutely.
We have 11 questions that help us go down a path. And those 11 questions help us see something on the inside that actually you've probably never been asked. So
I think you two are very creative. I'd like to see them. That would be good.
Awesome. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and send that to you. I have you for the same time next week.
Yep, great. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, Lee, and congrats on the course, Sherry. Lovely to meet you too.
All right.
Lovely.
We'll see you next week, man.
Thanks and love. Bye-bye.
Bye.